from Lake Louisa. It was a little colder last night. The clouds were completely gone last night. We came out here and sat out on these rocks, and you just would not believe the stars that are out here. And you know, you really gain an appreciation for it when you got the kind of light pollution that we do around the Detroit area and that. And you know, it's just amazing to sit underneath those stars and just sit and watch satellites going by and shooting stars everywhere. I mean, it was phenomenal last night. So here we are this morning. Clouds have returned. Just enjoying a little cup of coffee. Got my Pop-Tart and just kind of taking in the morning. So never get tired of this. The morning coffee cooking on the fire pit. Matt's got his little cheese and meat tray over there all ready to go for breakfast. We went for a little canoe for around the other end of the lake here and checked out some of those other campsites, but unfortunately I did some of those videos this morning and they were used up my battery. I didn't realize that till I got over there and we were out on the canoe, so I didn't have a way to take any more video, but the other guys took some video and some pictures, so I'll put those together for you so you can see what we did today. We kind of toured some from Lake Louisa, and we toured over, just walked the portages over to a couple other lakes here nearby just to kind of take a look at it and see what's over there. I gotta tell you, go from one lake to another out here, it's just amazing. Absolutely beautiful. Show you quickly here. If you look over here, this is an island and it has one campsite on it, and if you come over to this is an island, also has a campsite on it. And so we went on our way back from our canoe trip, we went over to the island there and we checked it out. It was so depressing. You could really tell, I mean, the whole island was just overused. It looks absolutely nothing like the natural kind of the natural habitat that we have here at ours. You know, you've kind of got a camp area at ours, but then you don't go very far and you're into, you know, kind of the natural wilderness that's here. But on these islands, they're all just, the whole thing looks just like a campsite. It's just completely different than, you know, completely different than what we have on these other campsites. So, and, you know, again, it's not like anybody abused it. It's just that you know, it's obvious that that's a kind of a prime place where a lot of people go and you know, use that campsite. I'll bet you that campsite doesn't go very many nights without somebody on it. So one other thing I forgot to tell you about, and that is over on this island when we went there, we were fortunate enough to find somebody's Pabst Blue Ribbon.
What'll you have? Pabst Blue Ribbon. What'll you have? Pabst Blue Ribbon.
So we passed that around. The four of us enjoyed a single beer, but it was kind of refreshing. It was nice to find that little treat out here. We picked up a lot of other trash as we've been out here, but that was one piece of treasure we were pretty happy to find.
Finest beer served anywhere. That's Blue Ribbon Beer.
So we have 3 people doing hammocks this time, but each of us are doing things very differently with how our hammocks are set up. So I've got basically a pretty typical here gathered end hammock. My underquilt, my top quilt. I've got a quilt protector in there, but pretty straightforward with a ridge line in there. But got my Dutch buckles to the tree, and then whoopee slings here to the end of the gathered end hammock. So this one here is a Clark Super Shelter. Again, it's got his straps here and it's got a tarp over top, but this lays like a bridge hammock, but it's not a bridge hammock. It's got a special cut to it, and it's got like a sock there that's integrated in it, and then there's also a screen there, so if he just wants bug shelter he can do that. But as it gets colder, having that top part there is kind of nice as far as holding the heat in. And then underneath here he doesn't have a it looks like an underquilt, but they're baffles that he can stuff clothes and other stuff in it, or he can use an underquilt, but right now he's got a sleeping pad in there. So, but that's a pretty nice setup. A little heavier, well, probably quite a bit heavier than mine, but still kind of an interesting setup. So here's a third hammock. It's a Hennessy hammock, and it's got the Hennessy hex tarp there, and looks like kind of a daisy chain strap that goes down, and he's got a bug net on top of there, which again kind of holds in some of the heat when you're inside there. Not as well as a sock, but it still makes a difference. On mine I did bring I have a Hug bug net, which is a half length bug net, but I bring that just to kind of keep the heat in by where my head is. There's no bugs out here because it's a little too chilly for that, but he's got a sleeping pad in there, and then his top quilt. So again, very different kind of setup, but all 3 of us doing hammocks, but all 3 doing something a little different.
Are we rolling? Are we rolling? Are we rolling?
Now you guys, here's oh, I got that. I got that. So yesterday when we were
Paddling
canoeing,
yeah, we're out there on a good paddle, and all of us hear about the Canadian hospitality up here, right? We think the Canadians are so nice, so we get to our first paddle back to the campsite, and we run into a pantsless Canadian that wants us to come on over and have a drink.
who was having a complete conversation with us, and we could not hear a word he was saying.
He probably thought we were really rude Americans for not talking back to him, but he did not have pants on.
He did not have pants
smoking
on.
cigarettes and
Smoking cigarettes and drinking whiskey out of a flask.
with no pants on.
And then the next site we get to, we have 2 fishermen that we wave at least 3 to 4 times. And
Each of us.
Yeah. And all we do is get the stink eye every single time. So much for Canadian hospitality.
Yeah.
I caught a nod from the second guy.
You did get a nod?
4th wave.
All I got was a stink eye, man.
Oh my God! How many times do I need to wave a flag so you know that I've seen you waving at me?
The one guy actually moves to the point, like to watch us, like he was afraid we were going to come into his camp
Right.
or something.
3 times I wave at the same guy. He just looks at me with this blank stare on his face.
Like he doesn't know that waving is a way to greet people.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And if it's not, it was free and you can make another one.